middle of June. A lot of people think excitement about the Federal Reserve's plan to boost the nation's economy is behind it. In the end, the Dow closed up 53 points at 13,593. The NASDAQ ended up 28 points.
And coming up on Eyewitness News, on the run for more than a decade, one of the FBI's most wanted moms returns her daughter to Long Island, and the question is, where were they?
Also ahead at 5, pain at the pump. What's to blame for the rising gas prices?
And Buckingham Palace fights back the no-nonsense decision from the royals, who say enough is enough.
And Gaga for Gaga. See how she surprised fans at Macy's in Midtown this afternoon.
Little monsters came out in droves today in Herald Square for the launch of Lady Gaga's new perfume. And when it's Lady Gaga, you know it's no ordinary entrance. She arrived in grand fashion. Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles was there and joins us live from Midtown. What a show, Darla.
It was a big show, Sade, but this was a private event, so a lot of fans had to stand out here behind these barricades, and they just hoped to get a glimpse of Lady Gaga. But then there were a few dozen very lucky fans who, after this event, got to go upstairs for a private party on the 16th floor. Always grand and over the top, Lady Gaga arrives to Macy's in Herald Square in a horse-drawn carriage. That's a black horse and a black and gold carriage, which was a larger-than-life-size version of the bottle for her new fragrance, Fame.
I've been waiting for years to meet her. She's my idol. I admire her.
This was a closed event for the first 250 fans who bought Fame. Those with these black wristbands got a chance to see their idol up close.
I got it for a birthday gift. Yesterday, my cousin brought it for me. She surprised me with the wristband. It smells really good, and I love Lady Gaga.
What does the fragrance smell like? Do you like it?
It's amazing. I love it. Nice. It's very nice.
Are you wearing it right now?
I am, actually.
I don't know. Can you smell it? I can't smell it yet. But this is how Gaga described the black liquid eau de parfum on Good Morning America during an exclusive sit-down interview with Lara Spencer.
I wanted it to be a very slutty perfume, because that is sort of the addictive nature of fame, is that it is seductive. You want the life of the person that is famous.
But for some fans, it wasn't about fame at all. It was all about the famous person behind the sweet scent. So you can see where crews are outside breaking down from this private event. I spoke to a few fans who were able to come to the press conference downstairs, but not the party upstairs. So they were just a little disappointed about that because they really wanted to get closer. But Diana and Sade, I know you want to get closer. I brought both of you 2 samples of Fame so you can try it for yourselves. Reporting live in Herald Square, Darla Miles, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Darla.
Thanks, Darla.
Very nice of you. That outfit was way over the top.
Oh, yes, that's what Lady Gaga does
she's
the
known
best.
for. It wasn't neat, but it was, you know,
And
like
her fans
the Hulk.
like to dress just over the top, too.
Yeah, that's some interesting outfits there, and that was like an inflatable slinky.
Like
it
the
looked
Hulk
like.
or whatever.
Inflatable slinky.
What that looked like. So I got your holiday gifts then. We'll get you some of that perfume. You guys reacted to it very well.
So,
Gorgeous. We have more of the same for this weekend.
Yeah, it's delicious out there. It's not as warm this weekend, but at the same time, it's still very pretty. There's a lot of sunshine. We just have a little bit of hurdle to go through tonight in the form of a couple of showers. Not a big deal.
Do we need a little sweater for the weekend?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. Especially tomorrow, midday and afternoon, as the breeze gets going. Maybe feels like it's in the 60s at times during the midday and afternoon. Outside we go now where, we hit 80 degrees, and now we've fallen below it, and you see the average there is 76 degrees. So we'll be closer to that over the coming weekend. Of course, no rainfall today again. We have some coming tonight, but very light amounts. And last year in this state, little fog gave way to sunshine, and we hit 85 degrees. So this is just a brief interruption to this beautiful pattern. That cool breeze will break up the clouds in a hurry tomorrow. Maybe you'll wake up 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, still some clouds left from the city on eastward, and then they break up. And Sunday's going to be gorgeous as well until we get a good soaking, and that's likely to come in Monday night into Tuesday. Monday daylight hours look dry. So 74 at 7 o'clock, some clouds for the first time in a while. A stray shower is fair game at midnight into the early hours tomorrow morning. Then the clouds will break. Pretty gusty breezes as we go through the afternoon, and sunshine and just a couple fair weather clouds, deep blue sky. It should look great. So mostly high clouds, not rain clouds right now. You're still seeing a little filtered sunshine until the sun sets in a couple hours. And then you see some pretty good rains that are moving through western New York State, but I think this will continue to weaken as it approaches us during the late night hours. And we're actually going to get the southern tail of that front, which is about 260 to 280 miles away right now. You know, initially it was drawing up a lot of Gulf moisture, but then it really left it behind. So it'll take one more front here in western Canada to take the rest of that rain and throw it our way. So that won't happen until Monday night and Tuesday. That saves our weekend weather. Just a front to go through and a temperature change as well. Look at 80s and 70s turning into 50s and 60s. So definitely a little cool shot of air as this comes in. Our temperatures through the day tomorrow should be in the mid 70s. Looks like the clouds will make an early exit and we're in great shape during the afternoon hours. Here is your AccuWeather forecast. It's partly to even mostly cloudy at times later tonight. The early evening hours you can leave the umbrella. If you're going to be out after 11 or midnight and you don't want to even get a sprinkle on you, then take the umbrella along. But it's going to be very hit or miss. And then they're gone by daybreak and then the clouds start to break. 75 degrees and a gusty breeze through the day. Tomorrow night, clear and cool, 44 to 52 in the suburbs. Open those windows again. This will not be a weekend for air conditioning by any means. 75 on Saturday and 73 on Sunday. Cool blue skies. Clouds are increasing on Monday. Good soaking coming in Monday night into Tuesday, and then we're back to beautiful after an early shower on Wednesday. So more of a fallish feel for the weekend.
Do you know what Mama says? Nothing good happens after midnight.
Yeah, except for showers.
Except for showers.
Including showers.
Okay.
All right, you bet.
Coming up on Eyewitness News, Apple starts taking orders for the new iPhone, then stops. We'll tell you why.
Also, Shaquille O'Neal returns to New Jersey. How he's hoping a new movie theater will make a big difference for people in Newark.
It's called babo de camarão, which means shrimp in yuca cream, and it's a traditional dish served beachside in Brazil. I'm Lauren Glassberg, and we're serving it in Neighborhood East.
There will be more eyes and ears at synagogues on Long Island this holiday season. I'm Kristen Thorne with that story coming up.
This is an Eyewitness News commuter alert.
I'm Heather O'Rourke in the traffic center. We still have some delays to talk about on our subways. The B&Q trains running with delays through Brooklyn, through the Parkside Avenue station. This is all because of earlier debris. Let's go outside and look at the Holland Tunnel. A lot of holiday volume this evening. Inbound side, the Holland Tunnel up to about a 20-25 minute delay. We'll go to a webcam now and check out the Cross Bronx Expressway westbound. We have an accident being cleared at Rosedale Avenue. This traffic takes drivers all the way into the George Washington Bridge. As we check out the maps, also in the Bronx on the Hutch northbound, 2 lanes are closed at Orchard Beach Road with an accident. Long Island Railroad, Metro North, New Jersey Transit trains, they are all running on or close to schedule. We have street cleaning rules suspended for Monday for the holiday. Eyewitness News at 5. We'll be right back.
It's Friday. It's time for a movie review. Last week marked the lowest take at the box office in more than a decade.
But this week, a family classic gets released again in 3D, and a possible Oscar contender reaches just a handful of theaters. Sandy Kenyon is here now with his review. Sandy?
Diana Sade, we are going to begin with the contender. The Master will be more admired than loved. That's my prediction. It's not entertaining in the conventional sense, and I didn't like it near as much as some other critics. But it is likely going to be an Oscar contender, thanks to the power of its performances.
What happened?
Hard to say exactly. Watching this long movie is like eating a big plate of steamed vegetables. It looks like it might be good for you, but it's not much fun, and in the end, not even that nutritious.
I am a writer, a doctor, a nuclear physicist, a theoretical philosopher. But above all, I am a man, just like you.
Philip Seymour Hoffman is the Master, a fictional character inspired by L. Ron Hubbard, who founded Scientology. The film is set in the same time period the real group got started, during the years after World War II.
If the average civilian had been through the same stresses that you have been through, undoubtedly, they too would have developed the same nervous condition.
Joaquin Phoenix gives the performance of his career as a troubled Navy seaman given to sexual obsession and sudden bursts of anger. His hobby is making a home brew so strong it kills a man and forces his hasty exit from a dead-end job.
How'd I get down here? You're acting aggressive because you drank too much alcohol.
After stowing away aboard a yacht in San Francisco Harbor, Freddie Quell reluctantly agrees to what the Master calls processing.
Is your life a struggle? Is your behavior erratic?
This echoes what Scientologists must undergo, but this film isn't so much an expose as it is a meditation on the nature of cults in general. and the relationship between a leader, his wife, played brilliantly by Amy Adams, and his follower, who grows more and more disillusioned.
But just say something that's true!
The stars definitely deserve Oscar nominations. The film itself, not so much. Now, the snooty critics feel they have to like it. They can't tell you what this movie is about exactly, but hey, it must be amazingly profound. I say The Master is too long and lacks a meaningful conclusion. Finally, on a happier note, Finding Nemo is back on the big screen everywhere this weekend in 3D. And I know many of you, especially those of you with little kids, have probably seen it many, many times. But now there's a new depth and vibrance to all of those scenes, and the underwater scenes in particular. Finding Nemo in 3D is from Disney, owned by the same parent company as ABC7. Diana Sade?
I could see it again. I love that movie.
I did see it again. I enjoy it.
You still enjoy it?
I still want to see that first film, though. Even though you say it's long, but the acting...
It's intriguing. It never fulfills its earlier promise.
Too bad. Thank you, Sandy.
Thanks, Sandy.
Still ahead, President Obama breaking his own rules. Coming up on Eyewitness News, the president welcomes Olympians at the White House with a special perk that they had not planned on.
I need to talk to you about that judgment that Natasha won in court.
She's called a pillar of the community who runs a charity. So why is she getting a visit by Seven on Your Sides, Nina Pineda?
We're past Labor Day. The kids are back at school. You stopped wearing white. So why haven't gas prices come down the way they usually do this time of year? I'm Marcus Solis. Details coming up when Eyewitness News returns.
You're watching New York's #1 news. Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
A look at tonight's top stories. A solemn ceremony at Andrews Air Force Base this afternoon. The bodies of 4 Americans who were killed in Libya this week, including the U.S. ambassador, were brought back home.
And breaking news in Brooklyn, where the body of an elderly woman has been found dead in her Bed-Stuy apartment. Police are now looking at this as a homicide case. Relatives discovered the 85-year-old. They say she was covered in blood and had a stab wound on her neck.
And more breaking news. The search for a diver missing off Queens. The NYPD and the Coast Guard are searching the waters near Breezy Point after eyewitnesses reported seeing a diver go in, but did not see the diver come out. And good evening again at 5:30. I'm Diana Williams.
And I'm Sade Bedorenwa. New this half hour, increasing pain at the pump. Gas prices taking another jump today. And as the price to fuel up gets higher and higher, it has many drivers wondering what's to blame and when we'll catch a break. Eyewitness News reporter Marcus Solis is live in Nanuet in Rockland County with some answers. Marcus?
And Sade, historically, the price of gas follows the law of supply and demand. We're past the peak summer driving season, and this is usually when prices start to drop a little bit and drivers get a little bit of a break, but not this year. Mike Coyne knows the date and knows this time of year gas prices typically go down. At least that's the way it used to be.
You know, usually it hits in, like at the Memorial Day, you start getting higher prices, but the prices went down. And then before the end of the summer, they went up to $4.
Indeed, motorists in most of the tri-state area are paying more than $4 a gallon. Gas is always cheaper in New Jersey, but even there a bit of a shocker. This morning, prices at stations along the Turnpike and Garden State Parkway, which can only be changed once a week, jumped 11 cents.
I pay cash or try to save a few pennies, you know, because like it's to the way I travel, like it costs me a lot of money.
You wonder why do they go down and why do they go up the way they do? Is it really supply and demand?
Not entirely, say experts. Hurricane Isaac forced refineries in the Gulf to shut down. That, in turn, has delayed the rollout of winter blend gasoline, which is cheaper to manufacture than ethanol-based fuel. But experts say the single biggest factor affecting the price of oil? Speculators, hedge funds, and banks influencing the commodities market.
Right now, speculators control 87% of a market, and a speculator is not a supply and demand fundamental. So supply and demand has nothing to do with what's going on here.
In 2010, Congress passed a law that limits excessive oil speculation, but it hasn't been enacted yet. Until then, expect volatility.
We always say they rise like a rocket and drop like a feather. Well, this law was put into effect to make sure that if they rise like a rocket, they drop like a rocket. Right now, we're not seeing that happen.
So when might we see it? Those new regulations could, it's not definite, but could go into effect next month. Our expert says that would translate to cheaper prices at the pump and also cheaper home heating oil. We'll see. We're live in Nanuet. Marcus Solis, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Marcus, a parolee with a lengthy rap sheet, is under arrest tonight, accused of murdering a gas station attendant in the Bronx. 21-year-old Freddie McGuire is charged with murder, robbery, and criminal possession of a weapon. Police say he shot and killed 28-year-old Lamin Silla earlier this month. While he was working, McGuire was just paroled from prison in June for a previous robbery conviction. He had 5 prior arrests.
A Long Island teenager is finally home tonight, a dozen years after she was allegedly kidnapped by her mother. Yvette Torres surrendered to authorities and returned the girl to her father, who lives in Hauppauge. She had been on the FBI's most wanted fugitives list, and when authorities began putting pictures of fugitives in Times Square a few years ago, Torres was among them. She's accused of taking her daughter overseas to obstruct the parental rights of the father. And 11 years in prison. That's the sentence given to the former head of New Jersey's 4th largest school district. Michael Ortaco pleaded guilty to corruption and tax evasion charges in April. Prosecutors say he took more than $2 million in bribes from insurance brokers for giving them inflated commissions for school board business. He retired from his job as the superintendent of the Toms River schools after his arrest. He held the post for 20 years.
A tentative deal tonight that could end the teachers' strike in Chicago. More than 25,000 teachers have been on strike all week long. A short time ago, negotiators confirmed they have achieved a framework for a resolution. It's not clear where each side compromised yet. Union delegates must now vote to formally end the strike, and it's hoped that teachers and students will be back in the classroom on Monday. This week on Up Close, a closer look at the teachers' strike. Could it happen here? I talk with the president of the American Federation of Teachers, Randy Weingarten, Sunday morning at 11 o'clock right here on Channel 7.
iPhone fever might be stronger than Apple anticipated. The company stopped taking pre-orders for the iPhone 5 just hours after sales started. Apple began taking orders just after 3 this morning and promised delivery by next Friday, which is when the phone hit stores. And just 4 hours later, the wait time had grown to 2 weeks. Then Apple's website stopped taking orders. Last year, iPhone 4S buyers could still place an order in the afternoon and get 1-week delivery.
President and Mrs. Obama today welcomed the 2012 U.S. Olympic and Paralympic athletes to the White House. Mr. Obama told the athletes he is the fan-in-chief and he could not be prouder of their achievements. The president said he wanted to shake each athlete's hand, even though his scheduler said he did not have enough time for that. Mrs. Obama and Vice President Biden joined in the effort, and the athletes were very appreciative.
It really means a lot to the athletes to be here, and also for all 3 of them to kind of mess up their schedules a little bit and stay and meet each and every one of us, because it really means a lot to us to represent our country and then have the honor of coming to the White House and do this visit.
The athletes gave the Obamas the U.S. flag that was carried during the opening ceremonies in London.
Well, still ahead on Eyewitness News, the Royals fight back, laying down the law after a magazine prints topless photos of Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge.
Plus, Shaq is back. The big deal that Shaquille O'Neal threw himself behind, unveiled in Newark today.
And I'm meteorologist Lee Goldberg. Some high clouds over the George Washington Bridge. Traffic is actually moving pretty well for a Friday night. We had another nice day, and maybe for the last time in a while, we're seeing 80-degree highs across the area. It is going to cool down as we go through the weekend. There's a cold front off to the west. We've been tracking it all week long. There it is, only about 250 miles away, and it's 80 on this side of the front, but it's in the 70s, pretty breezy on that side of the front, and that's where we're headed for the weekend. 7-day AccuWeather forecast is coming up on Eyewitness News at 5.
An angry Buckingham Palace is fighting back tonight after topless photos were published of Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge. The royal family is suing the French magazine that published those pictures. The controversy erupting as Prince William and Kate were visiting a mosque in Malaysia. The photos were taken as the couple vacationed at their estate in France. Now the family is taking the unprecedented action of going to court.
They've had a policy of not suing the media. This is more egregious in the sense that you're talking about a long lens, on vacation, and in France, where the privacy laws are very tough.
The palace called the photos reminiscent of the worst excesses of the press and paparazzi during the life of Diana. It was 15 years ago that Princess Diana died fleeing the paparazzi in France. And actress Angelina Jolie is using her star power to expose a very serious plight, the plight of Syrian refugees who have been forced to flee their homes. Jolie, who was also a special envoy for the UN Refugee Agency, met with the Turkish president, asking for his help with the Syrian refugees as the winter approaches. approaches. Turkey is hosting about 80,000 Syrians who have fled the violent 18-month conflict in their country. Jolie visited the camps along the border with Syria this week to draw attention to the issue.
NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal has opened a movie theater he hopes will provide more than entertainment to people in Newark. The redesigned Cityplex, featuring digital projection and 3D capability, is part of an effort to revitalize the city's struggling Central Ward. O'Neal, who is co-owner of the theater, says he's proud to invest in the community where he grew up and hopes to be an example for young people.
Whatever you want to be, you can become it. I'm the true model of that. I've done everything the right way. I've done everything the proper way, but I've done everything that I was taught from two people that were born and raised in Newark, New Jersey.
The Boys and Girls Club, the Newark Museum, and other community groups.
The stretch of beautiful weather we've been having is continuing.
However, we could see things cool down just a bit this weekend. The AccuWeather forecast is next on Eyewitness News.
I'm Lauren Glassberg in Montclair, where we're heading to Samba for a taste of Brazil in this week's Neighborhood Eats.
And David Muir in for Diane Sawyer, and next door getting ready for World News.
Here he is with a look at what's coming up tonight. David?
Diane and Sade, always great to see you. Coming up tonight on World News, those powerful images today. The bodies of 4 Americans brought home as more Marines are sent overseas. We have the breaking developments as our teams report behind the scenes at the White House and the State Department. And then we're going to switch gears here. Made in America, could the next $1 million invention be sitting right there in your home? You've got to meet this mom coming up tonight. That's right after Eyewitness News on World News. I hope to see you on a Friday night.
So many good things. I'm in such a happy place. We've got Neighborhood Eats coming up. We got Lee here with good news about the weather.
You're in such a happy place.
It's a happy place.
Good,
we want you to stay in a happy place.
Yeah, I like being in a happy place.
Well, I'm not going to mess it up. You know what happens.
I'll share it with you, too.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Been in a couple of stores over the past couple of days. A lot of the vendors just saying, hey, can we get a nice cool weekend? I got a lot of fall material to send out.
Yeah.
And this is going to be your weekend. You're going to like that. Folks are going to be thinking about fall this weekend as we have a nice breeze setting in. But it still will be really beautiful to get outdoors. Outside we go right now, where it's a thin veil of high clouds. You know, we've had such pretty skies over the past several days. Well, this evening, it's that milky sky because of some high clouds working in. Don't forget, we'll write about it in Blogger Bus 7 Online, Facebook, and Twitter. So we hit 80 degrees today, and you may be wondering, is that going to be the last 80 for a while? Well, if you look at recent weather history, we probably still have a shot at more 80-degree weather. Over the last 5 years, it's occurred either in the last week of September or the first week or two of October. I will say this, looking at the long-range pattern over the next couple of weeks, it doesn't look favorable for any big warm-up, so maybe we'll have to wait till early October. Hope so. Temperatures in the mid-70s and lower 80s right now, again with partly to, at times, mostly cloudy skies. Winds are mostly out of the south right now and have been kicking up. If you've been watching Eyewitness News all afternoon, we've been watching the coverage of NYPD, Coast Guard looking for that diver off of Breezy Point. I just wanted to give you weather conditions there because the winds have been gusting near about 16 miles per hour. The water temperatures are right around 70 to 75. That's not the huge issue, but you know, when you're around these jetties, it just gets so choppy, and that's what's making the recovery rescue efforts a little more difficult because the waters are so choppy. Notice the high clouds we have here. These are going to pass by. We may actually see the clouds break up one more time towards sunset before they thicken ahead of this next cold front, which will come in later tonight. Now, it's an area of showers, some of which are heavy, but if you notice over the past couple of frames, it's getting a little thinner and broken up, and I think it continues to weaken as it approaches us. So, you know, after 11 or midnight, could there be a couple of stray showers that roll through? Yes, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. It should be brief. Now, initially, it was connected to a lot of Gulf moisture, but those two parted ways. Now, Gulf moisture is just sitting here in the middle of the country. Eventually, another front's going to come along and scoop that up and throw it our way, but that won't happen until Monday night or Tuesday. In the meantime, we watch this front turning temperatures into the 60s and 50s behind it. Briefly, we may cool down, but if you look off to the west, Chicago's recovered back to 75, and I think that's what we do during the day tomorrow. Tropical storm Nadine's starting to make that turn out in the open Atlantic, headed toward the Azores. No problem there. Could briefly reach hurricane status. Futurecast showing a stray shower, too. Look at how broken up it is indicated on the Futurecast. And then any early clouds, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, mainly from the city east. Get the sunshine coming in. You'll notice a pretty good breeze. That'll feel a little cool, so light jacket should do. And on Sunday, bright sunshine. By the time we get to early next week, remember that moisture I talked about in the middle of the country? There will be a system that's able to draw it up the coast, so we'll get a good soaking by Monday night, Tuesday. Air quality's back to good. It's so refreshing, high energy weather. I think Diana's going to be in that happy place right through the weekend. 75 degrees tomorrow as the clouds exit early. Cool blue skies on Sunday. Clouds will start to increase on Monday, but I think it's dry back to work. I think a good soaking comes in Monday night into Tuesday. That could be 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. But after early Wednesday, we're back to beautiful, and it's nice by Thursday and Friday. So, I mean, can you take a little stray shower tonight and one day next week where it's raining?
Yes,
it's not bad.
It's like nothing.
Okay. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Lee. You too. Well, this week in Neighborhood Eats Brazilian home cooking.
And it's Brazilian food like they serve along the southern coast. Lauren Glassberg is here with more.
Yeah, and the story behind this restaurant is a sweet one. The owner had worked front of the house at a number of restaurants in Montclair, but he was always craving the food of his childhood, so he opened his own place, Samba. It's located at 7 Park Street. That's in Montclair, New Jersey.
I want to close my eyes and imagine I'm in my mom's kitchen. She's cooking for me.
You might say Ilson Goncalves was a little homesick.
Nice to see you again.
So he decided to open Samba just off the main drag in his American hometown of Montclair. Ilson has lived here for years, but he often missed southern Brazil.
If you go to countryside, you're going to find places like this.
Spots that feel cowboy chic with bric-a-brac that reminds Ilson of his grandmother's home. The cooking is less meat-centric than typical Brazilian restaurants, and the menu varies through the course of the day.
Daytime is more like salads, paninis, a little Brazilian twist in the paninis, but at nighttime it's just authentic homemade style Brazilian food.
Like the stroganoff, Brazilian style, or the bobo de camarão, which is shrimp in yuca cream. The chef creates a sauce with garlic, onions, tomatoes, cilantro, and palm oil. The shrimp is sautéed in that with some pureed yuca, and it's finished off with a little coconut cream. It's one of the favorite dishes.
It's fantastic. It's like everything here at Samba. Everything is familiar, yet it's also unique.
I am a regular in the mornings and also for dinner. In fact, I brought in New Year's here, and a group of us had great dinner, many desserts, and it was fabulous.
What do you like about Samba?
I like Ilson. But beyond Ilson, I mean, the atmosphere is so charming and warm, and the food is fantastic.
And 2 years in, Ilson is feeling a little more at home thanks to the warm reception.
Estou muito feliz.
He's very happy, he says. The recipe for the shrimp and yuca is at 7 online. And he made this version for us a little on the mild side. But if you do it the Brazilian style, you add a little bit of fire to that.
It's got a little kick. It's
a little
excellent.
Kick.
It's
good.
Excellent.
Enjoy.
It's
very,
more
very
than that.
good.
I've got a samba going in my mouth.
We're going to do the dance.
Montclair.
Yeah, I'm telling you. It's worth it.
Yum.
We love it. Well, up next on Eyewitness News.
When one mom couldn't get what she was promised from a summer camp, she had to get 7 on her side. We'll get that coming up.
I'm Liz Cho. Coming up at 6, a gruesome crash. A minivan split in half. Tonight, we're learning new details about what caused the driver to lose control. And heightened security at temples and synagogues for the Jewish New Year. We will tell you why this year there is more cause for concern. It's all coming up next at 6.
Finally tonight, summer camp can be costly, and you should get what you pay for. A Bronx mom paid top dollar for a camp that promised daily field trips.
And when the daily field trips didn't happen, she wanted a refund, and it turned into a real battle. So she called 7 on Your Side and Nina Pineda. Nina?
It's a fight that's gone on for more than a year, but even after a judge made his ruling, the refund never came. It was time for 7 on Your Side to go to camp. Why haven't you paid the judgment?
The director of the Bronx summer camp waved off our questions about the court-ordered refund owed to this family.
I'm infuriated. You know, this is absolutely ridiculous. This is a woman who is a pillar in the community.
Ernestine Russell's used to good publicity. As founder of the nonprofit Baychester Youth Council, she was the subject of a documentary praising her as a hometown hero. Natasha Gordon-Bosco enrolled her 4 kids in Russell's Birch Dream Summer Day Camp, paying $3,600, $900 per child, worth it to her since the camp scheduled daily field trips.
You never went to the museum? Never went to the aquarium? Adventureland?
After 3 weeks of this, their mom had enough.
I said I want a refund and my children will not be coming back to camp.
And what did Ms. Russell say?
She said that they would process the refund within 2 weeks.
That promise was in an email sent a year ago by Russell's daughter. But after weeks, then months passed with no refund, Natasha took the charity and the camp to court.
We spoke with an arbitrator. We came to an agreement which she would pay me $3,000 within 90 days.
That clock ran out in May. It was time to get some answers.
How are you? Can we come talk to you or 7 on your side? I need to talk to you about the refund for Natasha. I need to talk to you about that judgment that Natasha won in court.
Not right now, ma'am. We got the kids in. Not right now. Call me too early in the morning.
Well, we tried to call, but I think you hung up on our producers.
Ernestine called minutes later saying her charity didn't have the money to pay Natasha. But in the most current tax forms filed with New York State, the charity behind the summer camp, Baychester Youth Council, received more than $500,000 in government grants. That same year, Miss Russell earned a 6-figure salary and was even issued a personal loan from the charity of nearly $160,000. But at the end of the year, the charity was still in the red to the tune of $143,000.
I will be paid in her time. Those were her exact words. It's like a slap in the face. Like, this is money that I worked hard for.
Ernestine told us she was waiting on funding from the state to pay Natasha, but we found out from the State Department of Education it abruptly terminated their funding last May, but would not discuss why. Despite our calls and emails, Ms. Russell wouldn't comment about the finances of her charity, saying only it's a private matter. Diana and Sade?
A lot to this story. Thank you, Nina. And that does it for this 5 o'clock edition of Eyewitness News. We thank you for watching. I'm Diana Williams.
And I'm Sade Bitter-Moi. Eyewitness News at 6 starts right now.